make me presenter there?
Yeah. You are the presenter, Rob.
Okay. So you guys should see a PowerPoint slide. Will, do you see that?
I do. Does everybody see a slide with a train going along the tracks?
Yep.
Okay, good. So I'm going to put everybody on mute but you, Rob.
Okay.
Give me 1 second, and we can get started.
All right. So welcome everybody to the Sage 300 300C 2017 What's New session. As Will introduced, I'm Rob Lawson with Sage. I'll be delivering the presentation today. We will just hold questions to the end, and or you can type them into the chat window so that we can follow up as we go through the presentation. So what I'm going to start with here is just a little bit about Sage 300C, a review of what we've done in the recent past, what's new with 300 and 300C 2017. I'll briefly mention some new features with the Sage 7.3 Service Pack 2 that's recently been launched, and we'll look into the future a little bit with what was announced at Sage Summit around the future releases of Sage 300, and then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end. All right. So the Sage vision is we energize the success of businesses and communities around the world through the imagination of our people and smart technology. So what we're trying to focus on here is listening to our customers and our business partners to determine what we need to be bringing to the table for you guys collectively. So we're trying to leverage technology that's out in the market today to allow you guys to have more freedom of choice on how you, for example, access 300, such as through the new 300C web UIs. We have several products that we're doing a modernization journey with, which is all really good and wonderful stuff, and the reason this is important is to recognize that Sage is investing in these products, and Sage has long-term plans for the success of these products. So Sage 300 is actually evolving into a C product, and the C actually means connected. Not cloud. Connected meaning connecting to other services offered by Sage as well as connecting to the core product. And in this scenario for 300, this actually means that we have web screens available. So the web screens allow you to have an improved user interface, remote access, fuller integration with payments and processing, enhancements around additional services we'll be offering in the future, such as, and inclusive today, Sage Inventory Advisor Basic. So this is us helping you guys bridge the gap between the on-premise world and the true cloud world. So this is really what we would call a hybrid model, where you still have complete control over the software. It's on your hardware, but now you can remote access it remotely via a browser, for example. We are evolving this. This technology is being improved. Our last couple of releases of this have been evolutions from the first release, and the reason for that is because we're getting feedback from customers like yourself saying, hey, we need the screen to be a little bit smaller or a little bit simpler to use. We need to be able to hide some fields. We need to be able to do some things a little bit differently. So we've listened. And we're adding those features and functions in. So we encourage you to provide that feedback to our product management team so that we can make the product even better. So we're allowing you to be more efficient with your task. We're putting in some automation around manual processes, and we're allowing you to have access to some customizations and other features through the UI. The core thing to understand about Sage 300C and where there seems to be the most confusion is Sage 300C doesn't exist without Sage 300. So the classic desktop that you all are using today and know and love doesn't go anywhere. This is just another option on how to access the product. You still have to have 300. The difference with the C is it just gives you that cloud interface. It is a little bit different model for subscription, but it also allows you to have access to some new additional functionalities that we're rolling into that model. The Sage Inventory Advisor is probably one of the biggest ones that a lot of customers are really looking at. The Sage Intelligence Reporting Tool some additional functionality around that, and also some features around what's called notes, and I will be showing you some of that as well. So the core business logic still remains the same. The desktop still remains the same. These features are being rolled into that. If you're using the C, you get it. Most of this in both places, and we're still relying on the solid database we've always relied on for Microsoft SQL. So as a journey, we started with November 2015, the initial relaunch of 2016. Then the first product update was in February. The May product update, we released a payroll for, direct deposit service for the U.S. payroll market, which I know you guys don't really care about that, but if you're using that module, it's there. And then with the Sage Summit in August, we actually launched the week after Sage Summit. Sorry, Sage Summit was in July. The week after Sage Summit, the first week of August, we actually launched Sage 300 2017. So that is where we're sitting today. And with those launches, with the original launch of 300C in November 2015, we actually launched these basic core screens in the system with AP, AR, and GL. We also launched the post button on several screens. We added some functionality around tracking reports. We also added for the U.S. market, the Affordable Care Act with the IRS, the Workforce Analyzer. With the next launch in February, we actually rolled in additional widgets. We rolled in a new window function. We rolled in some additional languages. We also, with the 2016 Update 1, we started rolling out the ability for some development to be started on customizing some of the product. These are early incantations of what some of our developers out in the development community have started doing with the product. So we can see Tayrox has done some work, Memsys has done some work, North 49. These are all development partners that work with our product, and they're actively starting to look at developing and extending the product. As I mentioned, the new payroll direct deposit came out for the U.S. market. We also, with 300 2017, have now increased company-wide business visibility by using the notes feature. The Sage Inventory Advisor rolling out, processing payments quicker. So if you're using Sage Payments, this is a really nice feature. It just blows away the old way, so I'll show you that. And then improved user experience. So we'll talk about some of these as we go through. So company-wide visibility to notes. So what we've done with 300C, and if you are subscribed to 300C, this rolls into the classic desktop as well, so you have it in both places. But if you open up the notes area, you can see all the notes for all the entities in the system, be able to add notes, edit notes, delete notes, dismiss notes. So you have access to a lot of notes in the system. In addition, you can create notes for various entities in the system, customer, inventory items. These are just a couple of examples of where you can do that. If I go into a customer record, and such as this case in this screenshot, Ronald Black, when I open up Ronald Black, the note screen pops up immediately and lets me know there's a note about Ron, or I can add a note about Ron, so I can easily add a note or have a note pop up. So once I've added the note, then you can actually see there's the actual note there in the system about Ron Black. So let's just go take a look at what that looks like inside the product. Okay, so this is the Sage 300 screen. As I mentioned, these are web screens, and these screens are available for you guys if you're using 300C and subscribing to that. So here is the drop-down for the company database. Choose the company, hit sign in. Of course, if you have passwords still apply. You'd get prompted for your password. That doesn't change. It's just I'm using demo data, so because there's no password turned on, that hidden, so I don't need to see it and be confused by trying to put something in there. So when I sign in, it's going to take me to my home page where I have a various set of widgets available that I can log into and choose and configure to see the way I want to see. Now remember, with the 300C screens, these are the screens that are web-based that tie to the core business logic. Not all of the functionality of the 300 product are in the C screens yet. So I'm making that distinction because things like job costing, GL consolidations, intercompany transactions, Sage Intelligence reporting, these elements aren't in these screens yet. They are being worked on, but they're not there yet. A lot of things are here. AP, AR, GL, inventory, order entry, purchase orders. Those core screens, those core modules are there. We've added a lot of administrative screens around common services, administrative services, and bank services as well. These are some of the widgets I was describing, so you have visibility to different pieces, and you can hover over these and see some additional details. I can actually scroll down here and see that I have 6 widgets available. I can actually close this one widget if I want, and that was the cash position one. So if I scroll back up to the top, I can then choose which one I want. Cash position was what we had before. Maybe I want income from operations. Once I've selected that, I can close that widget screen, scroll back down, and now I have income from operations. So you can easily see how you can add and take away the widgets you want to take away. If I close this one here, then it would close and the other one to roll up. So I can do some moving around in alignment to see these the way I want to see them in the system. If I want to navigate to a specific area in the product, such as maybe order entry, if I go to OE, transactions, OE, transactions, and I go to the entry screen, this will actually open up the entry screen. You'll see it tells me it's opening that window, and now it shows me that that OE entry screen is actually the window I have open there. Now this screen has been improved. It's been slimmed down. It's been made easier to have access to. Whereas before, when we first rolled this out, it was literally, I felt like I was scrolling for 10 minutes before I got to the entry screen. Now I can actually see the entry screen right on the actual screen itself. So this is similar to what we're used to. I have the ability to look at customer bill to address, do the pre-authorization. You note that there's a required element here, so there's a star there. I'm just going to use customer 1200. I'm going to tab, and that's going to take me right into the order entry detail, or the header for the order, so I can start processing the order. But you'll notice a note actually popped up. This is an important note about this customer. I'm not real creative with my notes. But you can see I have a note. I can click on edit. I can delete the note. If I was allowing dismissal of the note, I could do that. I can create other notes in the system as well. So I'll just hit X, and that closes that note screen. Now you'll notice there's the notes, right? There's all my notes, so I can get to it, but the notes specifically pop up based on the record I'm on. So in this case, because I put in customer 1200, a note popped up and proactively notified me about that. At that point, I can start doing line items. I can click on Add Line. This will add the line to the system, give me the ability to pick an item from the inventory. And if I just use my first item in the system and select that, this will actually pop up another note about that item. This item has a rebate for X period of time, so it can actually have it, the notes be time specific and a time interval, so I can put important information. It's really nice. It's a nice feature. So it just really highlights the flexibility of the system. So from here, if I go ahead and put in the quantity of 5, that'll put in my quantity, and then I can actually post this if I want to. So now that's going to post that order. I can see my quantity available. I can see all the details here about that order as I need to in the system. And if I want to print it, I can. In this case, I'm just going to say no. And there's my order in the system. So if I go to my list in the search screen, I can go to my last order in the system and see that actual order. So if I go to the end, choose the last order, select, there's the order. Actually, that's a quote, sorry. So I can use the finder, and I can search for order type in the system. So I can search by order type, active, future, standing, and I can put in 86 if I want, or I can search by number. I can search by customer number. So I have several different ways of looking for the orders in the system. So if I hit search, I can find the orders as I need to. Now that one said starts with, but if I change that to contains and do 86, then I would be able to find that order or find the order I am looking for in the system and find it fairly easy. So there's the order, select that, and I don't want to change that, so I'll discard that. Oh, messed that up. So yes, I wanted to discard that. So order number, I'll change that to 76, sorry, 76, tab that, change that to contains, search, there it is, select, and read my message. Do I want to continue? Yes, I want to continue. All right, so there's my order 76. And the reason I wanted to show you, come back into that order is because I wanted to show you some options, and we'll come back as we talk about this a little bit more. We'll come back to this order and we'll reference some other pieces as we go through the presentation. So I'm just going to go back into my PowerPoint at this point. Okay. So the other thing that we've rolled out is a feature that's Sage Inventory Advisor. Now we've had that for a few versions now, but the difference with this is we've actually rolled out a Sage Inventory Advisor Basic, where you can actually optimize your inventory and do forecasting based on inventory in the system. Now some things are missing. It's probably 80% of what most customers need. So for free, you get this tool if you're using the Sage 300C. So if you need to determine what inventory is moving slow, what inventory you have that you maybe shouldn't hold on to, what inventory you're going to be running out of, what inventory you have too much of, well, this tool helps you do that analysis, and it'll actually go through and look into your database. Through an import-export routine, you can import the data into this tool because it's a SaaS offering, and be able to analyze your data and determine where you need to make improvements. Now, the nice thing about this tool is it gives you a report so that you can go update your min-maxes, so you can go do orders and go do those processes in the system and maybe put some stock on sale to clear out some inventory that you've held for too long. So all of this is really nice, and it just gives you that nice, easy way and a very visual way of managing your inventory in the system. Now, that's the basic tool. The full tool does the same thing, but the difference with the full tool is it gives you more visibility, more charting, and it creates a file that you would import to create those transactions and do those updates that you want to have done. So the nice thing about the full tool is it actually takes it to the next step and completes the cycle of pushing those transactions back into the system. So there's some good flexibility here with how that works. So the tool does give you a lot, but just remember the basic is the basic, and it does 80% of what most clients need, and honestly we feel like a lot of our clients will be able to use this tool. There are full demos that can be delivered showing you the basic versus the full. We have a dedicated person on this product, and he's very familiar with it, and he can spend an hour going into how the calculations are done and how the formulas are done and all of that in great detail to make you feel very comfortable. I know that the customers that have purchased this and used this, the full version, have seen significant return on investment. We're talking not months and years, not years and weeks, but like days and weeks. Literally, some customers' return on investment was in 3 weeks. They were able to clear out some inventory, make room for stuff that they were selling a lot of, and be able to sell more of that. So that's the kind of stuff that this tool really just brings to light. So we've also improved the processing of payments in the system. The current process is literally 8 steps. And these are the actual 8 steps you have to go through and do. So it's a bit of a laborious process. Well, with the latest release, we give you the 8 steps because maybe you need to manually enter a credit card, so we allow for that. But we also give you the ability to configure the customer with a default credit card and Sage Payment credit card terms so that you can hit one button to pre-authorize them. So those 8 steps are gone if you already have the credit card and you set the default credit card and they're on credit card terms. With those criteria in place, you literally, all you have to do is hit pre-authorize and done. It's absolutely amazing. So very cool, very flexible, and it literally just charges the customer and pre-authorize in one click. So very quick, very easy way of doing it. And then there's another feature called batch processing, so that you do your pre-authorizations, you then go do your you do your pre-authorizations, you go do your shipments, then you can go in and process all of the shipments that you've done all at once and capture all those credit cards all at once. So that's actually pretty cool as well. So let's go through and take a look at some of these enhancements here. So let me go back to my image. Where'd it go? Oops. This. Okay. So in here, what I want to do is, and this is why I left this order open, I'll point out the customize where I can customize the screen now and hide and show fields. So I'll point this out now. I'm not going to talk about it until a little bit later, but you basically uncheck what you want to show and hide. just like what you can with the on-premise product. We've been able to do that for years, so that's rolled up into the web screens here. So if I scroll down here, what I want to do is, if I get to the bottom, I can do the pre-authorize, which is the 8 steps, which happy to let you do it, or I can do the quick pre-authorize, which is 1 click. And it's going to go through and process, pre-authorize that transaction for me in the system. So very quick, very easy, and I'm able to do that in just that 1 click in the system. So once I've done that, then oh, it already did it. Okay, so if I post that, okay, then what I can do is come back to my next process. I don't want to print that. I'll just say no. Okay, so then what I can do is I posted it, I can close the screen, I can go through each individual step of processing the credit, of doing the shipment, doing the invoice, and doing all of that, or if I just go back into that order that we were on, again, and I change this to contains, and I do 76, right, there it is, select. Then if I scroll down here, then I can hit ship all, okay, and that's going to ship everything, quantity ordered, quantity original amount, so I've been able to ship that. So now if I post this, right, it's already done the pre-authorization, so I've done the pre-authorization. I can print my picking slip, all the same stuff we do now, so I'm just going to say no, okay, and then what I can do is once that's done, I could actually go in to the payment processing area and do that pre-authorization. So from here, this is where I'll switch back and show you how I've set it up in 300 so you can see how I can do it in either place. I've actually built a visual process flow to step through this as well. So this is just an example of how you might do it using cloud or the web screens or the on-premise. So here I've done the steps, I've done the shipment, and now what I want to do is instead of doing the invoice individually, what I can do is process these in batch and go ahead and hit the go button there, and anything that was processed previously with a pre-authorization would show up here and allow me to capture and invoice those transactions all at once in the system. So that just gives me a tremendous amount of flexibility in a very easy way of processing these transactions in the system without having to do a lot of extra steps. The other thing that's really nice about being able to do this batch processing is you can also set up reoccurring charges, and by setting up reoccurring charges, and I've done a visual process flow for this as well, by setting up reoccurring charges and setting a default credit card and using the AR batch processing credit cards, you can create recurring charges, have the customer terms be set up to process credit cards and use a specific credit card for payments, and because you've got those scenarios set up, when you go do a recurring charge, you create the batch, you post the batch, you go in and you go into batch processing in AR, and you actually can process all those credit cards for those recurring charges in just a matter of a few clicks. So you set them up, set the recurring charges, make sure they're set up to credit card terms, make sure you've said which credit card would be used for payments, and then you can process all those AR invoices that you created in the batch real quickly and easily. So it just gives you a tremendous amount of flexibility in the system. So I've actually built this little demo process out to show you how you can do the AR batch process, recurring charges, and also how you set up the credit card processing as well. So these are just my custom visual process flows that I use to demonstrate these capabilities. These are free. They're on my demo image, so Will and the team, if they want them, they have access to them because they're on my demo image. Okay. All right, so we talked about those two things. So the next thing is customize your user experience. I already showed you the screen of this, so I won't go back and do it again. But this is where you can actually go in and customize the screen. And here's a screen that's before the changes, so note the entry description, the enter. When I go back to the next screen, the enter by, the entry description are hidden. So basically the tabbing sequence becomes much more efficient. I'll show you one more time now that you can look at it. See how you've got the customer currency, the account set, customer description, all of these individual elements here. If I go back, see all of the details at the bottom, customer description, all of that's gone. And you note, if I look here, the customer number, right, has an asterisk next to it. Whoops, went wrong way. It now says client ID. So if you want to call it client ID, then you can relabel it here on the screen. And you remember, we added that anything that's required has an asterisk next to it, so you can easily identify what's required on the screen. So that's all completely configurable by using this simple customize button here and allowing you to relabel the fields as you need to and showing and hiding the ones you want to show and hide. So some pretty nice flexibility in what you can do. We've also added the ability to add generic, custom reports for say this correctly, custom Crystal reports to the reports link here. So what I've done is I've actually provided instructions down here at the bottom on how to do this. It's not hard. It's just got like 2 or 3 steps, and it's not obvious. So if you didn't know about the instructions, it may not be intuitive or what to do. But basically, I need to know where the shared directory is. So this is a bit technical garbage. But know where the shared directory is, create a folder in that directory called reports, and in any custom Crystal report I want to run from that report area, drop it in that folder. And as soon as you do that, then that report becomes available. So let's go back to my screen and take a look at that. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so if we go back to the C screen here, okay, so I'm on this screen, and you can really be anywhere you want. Because when you click on the reports list, there's the PJC transaction report. Now that's a canned report. It has parameters on it, so I don't have it popping parameters properly. Well, they pop them, but it's not using the pretty form that 300 has. So this would really be for customer reports or reports with no parameters on them, other than maybe cursor report parameters you put in a report yourself. So it's nice, gives you some flexibility. If I go add report link and give it a title, demo, I hit browse, and it'll show the reports I've dropped into that folder. The one I dropped earlier was the PM Tran one, just to have a report in the folder. And it seems to only be looking for Crystal reports. I've tried dropping a couple other report file types in there, and it only seems to show Crystal reports. So yeah, that's really all it's looking for is reports. So why is this beneficial? Well, if you've got some custom reports that you've written and you want to get access to them through this screen, this gives you that capability. And it would generate them in a web form, in a web Crystal report viewer, so you can see them in the web and not have to have them loaded locally. So it's pretty nice. I think this bridges a lot of gaps with some people needing some custom reports. Right now on your desktop, you can put a custom report with Crystal, right? But it runs it all locally. Well, with this, it runs it through a browser. So that's pretty nice. I really like that feature. I think that's another nice feature we've added to the product to help people be a little bit more comfortable using these C screens. Okay, so I already mentioned this, but this is just re-emphasizing that point. The very first release of the product, we had this full screen here, which was really long, right? I mean, you can just imagine having to scroll all the way down to here to go through all of these panes literally and figuratively. So in this case, if we look in the middle, this was our attempt to simplify it a little bit with the last release. And with this release, we've minimized those panes, we've moved those fields to other tabs, and we've given you a much smaller screen. And when you put the customer number in, our tabbing sequence takes you right into that first tab, which is critically important because that's where most people want to go. So we're trying to address that need for quicker entry in the system. So hopefully you guys see how we're evolving the customer experience with the product. Okay, so we've also rolled out some additional screens in administration. So you can see some of the screenshots here. Some of the tax tracking reports have been added in. Some of the tax clearing history reports screens have been added in. And then some additional information that I wanted to mention here was that Sage 300 2017 works with payroll version 7.3. Sage 300 2016 works with payroll 7.2. And Sage 300 2014 works with payroll version 7.2 as well. So simply highlighting which versions are what are supported with which product. And this is important because our naming sequence has gotten off a little bit because payroll was moved to our HRMS team. It's now back under us, but the numbering sequence is still off a little bit because it is kind of a little bit separate now. So, but it's still, if you have payroll, that's the version we're working with. Sage 7.3 Service Pack 2 has rolled out some improvements. We've rolled out an improved Outlook plugin that supports 64-bit environments and a Lite integration with the Exchange server, so it's made it a little bit easier to work with and a little bit simpler functionality with the Lite Outlook plugin. We have fixed the synchronization error where it no longer needs to update all users in Outlook, so administrators can control past appointment synchronization behavior in the system. We've also added support for Windows Server 2016 with Service Pack 2, Exchange 2016, Microsoft Office 2016, SQL Server 2016, Citrix, and the latest version of Exchange are all now being supported with this Service Pack 2. A look into the future a little bit. So what's coming is generating financials with, from the web screens, a new feature called e-invoicing, which I don't have a lot of details. I have a screenshot, a visual process we'll talk about. Accounts payable automation integration, pulling bank transactions, new CRM integration, and I'm hoping this comes out soon. This is coming up in the next year. Don't have specific dates, but that's a nice feature. Ability for developers to have more controls over the web screens and additional web screens rolling out. So this is a prototype only. If you were at Sage Summit, we were actually demoing this. We're going to be adding in the Sage Intelligence Reporting Tool, but the web version. And let's be clear, this is still on your servers running Sage 300. It's just the web version of Sage Intelligence for the 300C product. Okay, and I'm just trying to make that distinction because it's not a SaaS offering like the Sage Inventory Advisor Basic is. This is still going to be running on your machines in your environment. Okay, so there's also a new tool called e-invoicing that we're looking at, so there'll be more, stay tuned for more details about how that process will work and having access to that. Accounts payable automation around scanning the system, invoice processing, booking the system, having an approval process, so there's more automation coming around this in the near-term future. So we're looking for AP approvals as an example and having some process around the system. Pulling bank transactions, bank feeds into the system and improving that workflow and improving the workflow process around that. In the past, we've had some basic functionality that we did with OFX files. We're looking to improve that. The Sage CRM integration, this is for me being a CRM person, this is quite exciting. Be able to show the 300C screens inside of CRM, which is a huge step forward, and for all of us that have been doing CRM like I have for 17 years now, this will eliminate some of the legacy that we've had, and legacy meaning baggage, around, for example, our web deployment screens and the classic portal screens. This will eliminate those two areas somewhat and give us one screen and one UI to work with versus having to rely on those other two sets of technologies. So that's really exciting. I actually was involved in the proof of concept of building this out, so I'm looking forward to seeing that in the future. So additional web screens coming out around shipment entry, invoice entry, full financials in April 2017, web inquiry tools later in the year in September. Some additional resources that I want to share with you guys. There's actually online help for Sage 300. Now, I actually like this. It's actually really nice, and I want to highlight the fact that it's actually in the product. Here, you've got let me go back to the home screen because it was, I know it was there because I just looked for it. There it is. So at the home screen, when you're not in the context of an area, help changes based on context. So there's your what's new. If you click on that, it'll actually take you to the online screens, sorry, the online help for Sage 300, which is where I found instructions on that report utility, where I found how to do the customizations of the screens, where I did all my learning. The help there was actually very helpful, so I would encourage you guys to check that out. It's not just 300C, it's 300 as well. There's help for a whole product there. Sage Inventory Advisor Basics, we have a TV channel, so there's a good introduction video for the full version and then the basic version as well, so there's links for that. Sage CRM's help has actually been around for several years, but I really want to share this with customers because a lot of people don't know this is here. This is where all our documentation is, the most current versions and previous versions, as well as the support matrix, the hardware compatibility guide. All of those details customers need to know are actually right here on the online help. So there are some brochures as well for that's out of order a little bit, sorry. I had one slide, I did that off a little bit. We're going to talk about Sage Intelligence now. So Sage Intelligence reporting. So this one slide here is just, there's some resources there, sorry, I had that in the wrong order. But Sage Intelligence reporting isn't necessarily new. It's been around for several versions, but I want people to know a little bit more about it, so I'm going to spend just a couple minutes talking about it. It's an Excel-based tool. It's ready to use reports and existing layouts. You can design financial statements using the Financial Report Designer, which is an add-on but comes in the Business Care for Gold, or the top level, the top tier for Business Care. It comes with that if you do the C subscription, so there are some additional benefits to using that model as well, and it allows for distribution of reports as well. So some of the key elements of this is around the eliminating of spreadsheet chaos, and even though it's using spreadsheets, it's still the source is the accounting system, and you're not having to generate that data yourself and format it every time. The Excel sheet is now just the presentation layer. So it does save time. It does give you some flexibility about being able to build reports the way you want them. It does give you automation and distribution. It does give you the ability to have data from other places come into the tool, not just CRM, sorry, not just 300, not just CRM, but if you have any database that has ODBC connections, then we can connect to that as well. That does require the connector license, but it is a feature that's available. We provide a tremendous amount of reports already in the system, and we provide the ability to have what's called a Sage Intelligence Reporting Utility to get more reports that we build. The report manager is the piece where you build the reports and then you distribute the reports out. And you can distribute them out in various formats in the system: FTP, HTML, PDF, Excel, in an email. So this is where the tool really just starts highlighting its strength. The tool is made up of several parts. I'm not going to get into great detail, but I want people to know there's several pieces. Report manager, you get one. It's included with the product. Report designer, extra. Depending on which business carrier you get, it may be included. That's where you design financials. The viewer is running reports only. The connector is doing connections to databases. License manager is admin. Security is saying who can run which reports through the viewer. So basically, you get one manager. Whoever writes reports, writes them. Whoever you want to be able to run reports and view and drill into reports, you give them a viewer license, so they don't have to be able to write reports, but you can control what they can see through security using the viewer license. So there's just a lot of flexibility around this tool, and it just gives you room to grow as you need to. The one thing that's not there is the analysis module, actually for cubes. Sorry, I just noticed that was missing. This is a good visual. It just talks about how data comes in and how the tool can be used and processed through your organization. I leave it in my presentations just because I think people like to read some of the content about how it can be used. Some tools and resources. Remember the brochures I mentioned earlier, that's more for Will and his team. There are brochures on converting financials. There's a video on that. There's great books on Sage Intelligence. There's community information available. There are some templates. And the free templates are really nice. There's a report utility that gives you the ability to pull in, last time I counted, well, I know there's 6 different 6, 7, whatever. There's a whole bunch of job costing reports in this utility, and there's a whole bunch of other reports around inventory. There's some dashboard reports. So this utility just gives you visibility to a bunch of reports we built and gives you the ability to download them right into the Sage Intelligence tool. Why is this important? Well, it's important to understand that this is here because you don't actually need that connector license to build connections to existing data sources, but this brings in other data sources that you don't necessarily have to build. So it just gives you some free that's really nice and really easy to do. And what the best part is, you open the utility, click on the reports you want, you say download, and it puts it right in Sage Intelligence for you. So you don't have to figure out how to import them, you don't have to download them, you don't have to really do anything except for click on the link, download them, it goes into the designer, run the report, you have access to the data right away. So it's really cool. Final icing on the cake in the last couple minutes here is I've actually built a white paper on how to show and publish Sage Intelligence reports into CRM. So this is really beneficial for people that want to have more reporting in CRM but limiting who can do what, but don't want to give them Sage Intelligence. So this is a really middle ground where you can use the distribution tools of Sage Intelligence that are free and publish them to CRM and use the CRM dashboarding and security of CRM dashboarding to say who can have access to what reports. So again, just something nice to check out. So we only have a few minutes left here, so I'm not going to get into trying to run any reports and show you all of that. But just know if you're interested in seeing some of the dashboards and some of the reports in the system, we'll be glad to schedule a presentation for you guys on that. So I know we have about 10 minutes left, and Will, you wanted to open it up for Q&A, so I'll pause here.
All right, thanks, Rob. Yeah, we had a couple of questions. One of the questions was if you can, in the Sage 300C web screens, can you have a save search criteria like you can in the classic desktop screens?
Right now, that save search is not there, but I do believe that's one of the things we're looking at adding in the future. Okay.
I don't know if you're privy to questions about payroll tax updates or not. I was also asked about for people that are still on 2012, they haven't gone to one of the newer versions because 2012 support ended basically when 2017 came out last month.
Right.
Will there be tax tables in January for that? But if you don't have that answer, I will endeavor to get that.
I don't have the actual answer, but based on speculation and history and what you just said, that it's not supported anymore because when 2017 came out, I would say because it's not supported, there would be no tax updates.
Yeah.
But that's purely based on what you said and the assumption of we don't update things we're not supporting.
Yeah.
So
we'll find out here and let everybody know.
I would say Jackie Lee would be the right person to ask on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to unmute everybody just in case they do want to ask questions. So everybody, you should be able to hear us and as well as speak now. So if anybody has any questions, again, just let us know here now and Rob can go through things. Anybody want to ask Rob a question? If you do, just speak up. One of the things I wanted to mention, Rob, you showed some of the visual process flows. It's not really a new feature, kind of like Sage Intelligence, but maybe some people that have been using Sage 300 for a long time aren't quite aware of what those process flows do and are. So maybe just in 30 seconds or less, you can let them know.
Yeah, sure. So I love the visual process flows. It's taken me a little while to get used to them because I've been doing 300 for 20 years, so I learned it through the navigation of the menus. But honestly, when I'm doing presentations now, I don't go into the folders anymore. I literally put everything I need on this process flow. And what this means is, if I actually did it here with this one, I actually built this What's New one. So this is as much for you guys, Will, as it is for me. So what are some of the new features? Well, one-click processing credit cards. Here's the screens you can go in to see how to do that. If you want to look at customer notes, see if I go to customer here and I click on that screen and I type in 1200, the note pops right up for me. So I'm able to see how easy it is to demo these features and see these new features with the way I've got this set up with these visual process flows. And that also, again, highlights that even though that note's a C-specific feature, they are still here in the on-premise product, but you do require the C subscription, right? So right. That's why I like it, is because now this is complete and utter fabrication by Rob, okay, complete customization for this one. But if you look at the AP one, this is probably one of the most practical examples of making it better, in my opinion. Here's the regular one, right? So for those of us that's been using AP, let me go to the first one. When you do AP, you enter invoices, and then you make payments, but that's not actually the step. What Make Payments does on that button there, it actually opens up the check entry screen, which means you can't do batch processing, which implies we don't have batch processing of AP checks, which is horrible. So a couple years ago, I created this visual process flow to actually explain that process and give you the single check processing method and then the batch processing method. I've then evolved that into this next version, and this one's even more pretty and more visual. I've added adjustment entry. I've highlighted that this is batch processing here, right, and I've added the arrow so you can kind of see how to flow. I added reverse checks. And then I added bank transactions because people wanted to be able to go do a bank entry. They wanted to be able to post a transaction into the bank from AP, right? So these are just practical examples of how I've done demos and how I realized I like these processes. So I find them really quite nice. And probably the best one for most everybody that would benefit is this one that's been built that's a custom one as well. And sorry, it's got some garbage up here I need to fix. But you're in a month-end process. What steps do I need to remember to do? Pretty cool.
Absolutely, and they are end-user customizable. We've got some great videos to show people how to do it. Or if they want our help, they can get our help, but everybody has access to these. And I agree, Rob. We found out when we're doing new clients to Sage 300 that haven't been on it before, we absolutely use these to train people. Some of the people that have used it for a long time maybe don't take advantage of it as much as maybe they could, just because they're used to doing certain things a certain way. But it's certainly, like you said, even for yourself, working with this product as a client as well as with Sage over 20 years, it can provide just that little extra ease of use and speed up your daily processing time. So it is valuable to everybody. I just wanted to mention it, and I'm glad you popped the screen and fixed your message there. Once you become familiar with this way of modifying it, they're relatively easy, especially if you're taking one of the standard custom standard process flows and customizing it for your own potential processes that you follow. So I appreciate that. Again, everybody has Sage Intelligence as well, at least one user since way back in 5.6. So if you're not taking advantage or haven't looked at it, give us a call. There's lots of videos on the Sage, the Intelligence community site. I can put that link in the email when we send it. Certainly download the latest free reports because there's a lot of them. Give them a try. Let us know if you have any questions, but at some point down the road, everybody's going to have to go to Sage Intelligence, right, Rob? Because
yeah,
FR
I mean,
will...
At some point, FR is going to die. I mean, I hate to say that. I love FR. It's my favorite tool, but the reality is that at some point, that's going to pass away, and Sage Intelligence is going to be the de facto tool. Once you start learning Sage Intelligence and you see what you can do with the report designer and what you can do with the financials, a lot of people are going to really like that tool. Now, does it do everything you need? I would say it does probably 85% of what you need, and that other 15%, if it doesn't do it yet, then you need the other reports. But it's getting there. Every release has got more and more functionality being added to it. So
yeah.
we own that. That's not just something that's an OEM that may go away tomorrow, like Burial Query and all the other products that have passed away. This is something we own, so it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and it's across multiple platforms. It's 64-bit, so when Sage 300 becomes 64-bit in a future version, that's why FR is going to pass into the sunset, because it's not a 64-bit app, and we have this tool which does more than GL reporting, can report basically in any database, and as well as all the modules in Sage 300. So if people aren't looking at it or trying it out, even as an enhancement to their FR reports today, and they should, and I know we have several clients that are already in the process of migrating them, so it's been great. All right, well, we've pretty much, we've got a few minutes here we'll give you back, but if anybody has any questions, please just let us know. If you want to send me a note after, I will, you can just respond to our email or send a note to will@da.ca, and we'll answer them. I hope that you found this valuable. There are new features coming. Again, Sage 300C, there's some that have it. Give us a ring if you want to discuss it, because it makes sense for some people, maybe not for others. But we, certainly Sage is offering it right now at the, basically if you're already on plan, your renewal, potentially you could have it for no more than you're paying today. But again, give us a ring, where Jim and I are happy to talk to you about it. And, even with the standard version of 2017, there's some great new features, and we appreciate your time, Rob, and giving us a bit of insight into the future, even beyond 2017. So thanks, and unless there's any other questions, I'll end the meeting here.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks. Take care.